Welcome to the Real Crime Diary, your gateway to the shadowy corridors of the unsolved and the unknown. In today's episode, we're going to take a journey into a case that has gripped Japan and baffled the world for over 2 decades. We're talking about a crime that's as perplexing as it is horrifying, the Setagaya family murder. Imagine this: a peaceful neighborhood in Tokyo, a family home turned crime scene, and an enigma that has evaded capture through the years. On the cusp of a new millennium, the Miyazawa family found themselves at the epicenter of a brutal home invasion, one that would end in tragedy and leave behind a trail of questions that remains unanswered to this day. Join me as we revisit the chilling night of December 30th, 2000, and delve into the details of this heinous crime. We'll be piecing together the events, scrutinizing the findings, and wrestling with the puzzle that has kept the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department on its toes for over 20 years. So buckle up, sleuths, as we dissect one of the most confounding unsolved murder cases in Japanese history. Welcome to the world of the Real Crime Diary. Darkness had settled over the quiet Kamisoshigaya neighborhood of Setagaya, Tokyo, a neighborhood where the lights within a single home would tragically go out and a family's future erased at the hands of an unknown assailant. This is the story of the Miyazawa family, who on the night of December 30th to the 31st, 2000, were brutally murdered in their home, a place that should have been their sanctuary. As we delve into this night of horror, the details we uncover are distressing. The first to fall was the youngest, 6-year-old Ray, during what should have been the peaceful slumber of an innocent child. Strangled with bare hands in his second-floor bedroom, his final moments were likely filled with confusion and fear. His killer, having infiltrated the family's personal space through an open window, ascended from the cold grip of the wintry park outside, swiftly and silently. Mikio Miyazawa, the father, 44 years old, was the next to confront the intruder. Awakened by the disturbance, he rushed up the stairs from the first floor, ready to protect his family. A fight ensued, evidence of a desperate struggle, a father's unwavering resolve clashing against the cold violence of the intruder. The outcome was heartbreaking, as Mikio was overwhelmed, his life ending with a fatal stab from a sashimi bocho knife, a kitchen implement twisted into a weapon of murder. The blade with such force broke off, lodging itself in his head, a grim testament to the violent encounter. The attacker, undeterred, continued the violent spree. Yasuko, the mother who was 41, and Naina, their 8-year-old daughter, each met with unspeakable ends. It seems the killer, unfazed by the broken knife, traded it for a santoku knife he found within the home, and with it, callously claimed their lives. But this story, chilling as it is, takes an even more sinister turn. After extinguishing 4 lives, the perpetrator didn't flee the scene. Instead, they lingered for hours within the blood-stained walls. The killer's intrusion into their home, into their lives, didn't stop with their deaths. It was an invasion of a distressingly personal kind. The murderer used the family's own computer, browsed the internet, perhaps in search of something we can't begin to understand. He helped himself to their food, drinking 4 bottles of barley tea, indulging in melon and ice cream, refueling as if the night had been his to revel in. The assailant's behavior post-murder was as if he was mocking the sanctity of the home, taking a perverse comfort in his actions. Medications and first aid kits were used, treatment seized from those he had just denied the right to live. The bathroom bore witness to his DNA, left unflushed, while drawers and papers ransacked, some items strewn into the bath and toilet, as if searching for something, but what? Even amidst the chaos, the killer seemed selective, taking some money but leaving more behind, hinting that theft might not have been the primary motif, if at all. And as the sun began to rise on a new day, their house of tragedy was abandoned, leaving behind a scene that would haunt the memories of those who stepped in to uncover its story. This grisly tableau stayed undisturbed until Yasuko's mother, Haruko, expecting routine, stepped into a nightmare. With no phone connection, cut off by the killer, and unanswered doorbells, she entered the home only to discover a scene that would forever alter countless lives. The Setagaya family, who had welcomed the year 2000 with hopes and dreams, found their timeline forcibly and cruelly halted just 1 day shy of 2001. How does one make sense of such acts? How does a neighborhood sleep knowing the perpetrator walked amongst them, perhaps still does? And how can anyone explain the cold detachment with which this killer operated? Tonight, as we close this chapter, we hold in our thoughts the lives stolen, the grief multiplied, and the answers sought within the shadowed corners of that fateful night, a night that remains, 2 decades later, a mystery wrapped in horror in the heart of Setagaya. The Setagaya family murders shook Japan to its core, turning the once peaceful Kamisoshigaya neighborhood into the stage for one of the most baffling whodunits in the country's history. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department swung into action, rallying an investigation force that was unprecedented in scale. Picture this. On the cold morning of New Year's Eve, the Miyazawa family is found slaughtered in their own home. Imagine the scene, 246,044 officers combing through the clues, a testament to the grave weight of these horrific murders. They amassed an astounding 12,545 pieces of evidence, each one potentially the key to unlock this mystery that has held Japan in its thrall. The assailant's entry point was as chilling as it was bold. A quiet rear bathroom window and a removed screen. It was as if the killer knew the layout of the house, as if the very walls whispered their secrets to this silent specter of death. The family's final moments were violent and terrifying, and the killer's audacity only grew from there. Staying within the house for hours after the act, the killer made himself at home, an unfamiliar phantom amidst the tangible grief. He browsed the family computer at 1:18 a.m., a detail that haunts the cyberspace of the Miyazawa's household. 4 bottles of barley tea, ice cream, melons, a feast he indulged in as a family lay motionless just rooms away. Evidence was everywhere, the killer's DNA painting a sinister trail across the crime scene. Yet the paradox remains. He is everywhere and nowhere, leaving his mark but never matching any database. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, in their exhaustive pursuit, unearthed that the killer possessed blood type A, hinting at a lineage diverse and sprawling, stretching from the East Asian landscapes to the South European seas. The clothes the killer left behind at the house were scrutinized, traced back to stores in Kanagawa Prefecture. But this clue, like so many others, led only to more questions, a journey into the unknown. There is particular uniqueness in the materials left behind. A sweater with only 130 units sold, a hip bag with sand that narrates tales of deserts far and skate parks close. The TMPD's investigation transformed into an international quest as they sifted through fragments of a puzzle that refused to complete itself. The murderer's sustenance from the night before the heinous act was deciphered from something as mundane as feces, string beans, and sesame seeds. What does this say about a person capable of such atrocity? Was this meal a routine dinner, or part of some pre-crime ritual? Fingerprints danced across the surface of the Miyazawa's home, another enigma making itself known. Our killer is precise, meticulous in his evasion. The physicality of the crime scene suggests that he is a man of medium build, a detail in a sea of unknowns. We ponder upon the blend of DNA that tells a story beyond Japan, Europe and Asia, combining in the genetic makeup of this unknown figure. The police turn to an international community for answers, because this killer may not even be within Japan's bounds. This is no ordinary investigation. It has evolved into a mission, a relentless pursuit of truth that has not dimmed even after decades have passed. Officers, full-time, devoted to unraveling this tangled web of cruelty and mystery. So, as we trace the killer's steps, linger on the clues left behind, and stand within the shadows of an incomplete story, we are confronted with the unbearable truth. The darkness that descended on Setagaya has yet to lift. The monster behind the mask remains out of reach. But with each detail unearthed, each DNA strand analyzed, we edge closer to that elusive figure who orchestrated a night of horror that continues to echo through the years. Join me as the mystery unfolds and we endeavor to grasp the answers that justice so dearly demands. What kind of person could carry out such a cold-blooded act and then just vanish, leaving behind only traces of evidence? Today we're looking at the enigmatic profile of the suspect in the Setagaya family murder. Police investigators were able to piece together a phantom-like image of the assailant through the physical evidence scattered across the crime scene. Let's delve into the details that, even 20 years later, baffle us all. Despite copious clues, the perpetrator remains a ghost eluding capture. Imagine, if you will, a figure approximately 170 centimeters tall with a slim build. That's the physical stature of the murderer as estimated by law enforcement. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department concluded that the killer's movements, the way he entered the Miyazawa home through a bathroom window, revealed a younger person, agile enough to scale a tree and slip through the small opening. The killer's blood was also a key piece of evidence. It was type A, distinctly different from the Miyazawa family. What makes this case unique is the DNA analysis that indicates our suspect is of mixed ancestry, a blend of East Asian and European lineage, with maternal DNA linked to a region near the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea, and paternal genes stemming from East Asia. Now, isn't that an interesting mix? But there's more. The Y chromosome DNA puts him in a specific haplogroup known as OM122, a genetic marker common among East Asians, appearing prominently in ethnic groups across Korea, China, and Japan. Let's pause for a moment to consider the global journey this person's ancestors must have taken. It's as if the blood coursing through the murderer's veins carries an atlas of his family's past migrations. The meticulous nature of the investigation by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department led to the interrogation of international databases for matches to fingerprints and DNA with the killers, but turned up no criminal record. It's a frustrating dead end, posing the theory that the Setagaya phantom might have never committed a crime before or after that fateful night. So, the question looms. He could be anybody. A stranger passing through the neighborhood, or perhaps a face you pass daily on the street. He could be living a seemingly normal life, a secret lurking beneath the facade of an average citizen, or he might have fled, far beyond the borders of Japan. But let's not forget the evidence left behind. It states volumes about the individual. Items abandoned on the Miyazawa's sofa. A knife, scarf, hip bag, sweater, pieces of clothing. All ordinary items, but in the context of a murder scene, they transform into grim artifacts, symbols of a life violently extinguished. And then there's the sand found in the hip bag, which traveled a great distance from the Nevada desert. How did it get there? Does it suggest connections to the United States, possibly a military base, or was it simply a byproduct of an innocuous trip? Each thread of evidence weaves together a complex tapestry of the suspect's profile, yet no face to put to the name. The DNA, the findings, the hypotheses, they orbit around a central void, the identity of this person, this ghost. We scrutinize, hypothesize, and dig deeper. Maybe it's not a full picture, but a composite sketch of someone who has eluded every attempt to be understood or caught. For 2 decades, this ghost has haunted the corridors of the Miyazawa home, the minds of the police, and the heart of a community left grieving. In the end, the killer of the Miyazawa family seems to have vanished into thin air, a ghost made of flesh and blood. This profile we're discussing isn't just the outline of a suspect, but also an invitation, a challenge. Who will unmask this phantom? Perhaps it's time we look not just among the living, but also in the shadows where the past lingers, silent, waiting to be heard. Diving into the depths of true crime can leave us with more questions than answers, and that's where you, our brilliant listeners, come into play. This is The Real Crime Diary, and today we've been unpacking the enigma shrouding the Setagaya family murder. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Have you been piecing together the clues? Formulating theories while listening to the details of this tragic case? Maybe you've gripped the armrest, your mind racing, as we discuss the killer's unique DNA, or the inexplicable behavior after the murder. Perhaps you're wondering, did the killer act alone, or was there an accomplice lurking in the shadows? What could drive someone to commit such heinous acts and then coolly use the family computer, savor their food, and take a moment of rest on their sofa? It's all exceptionally mystifying, isn't it? Here at The Real Crime Diary, your insights are crucial to the narrative. We aren't just telling stories, we're building an interactive crime-solving community. So share your thoughts and theories with us. Jump onto our forum, email us, or leave a voicemail. Your perspective could shine a light on aspects of the case we might have overlooked. And it's not just about contributing to ongoing cases. We're also opening the floor to case suggestions. Is there a cold case that haunts your local community? Perhaps there's a lesser-known mystery that has always intrigued you? Tell us about it. and perhaps it'll be featured in one of our upcoming episodes. Cracking these cases is like putting together a colossal jigsaw puzzle, and each piece, each suggestion, each theory counts, no matter how small or outlandish it might seem. As avid connoisseurs of true crime, you know that sometimes it's the most far-fetched theory that ends up being closest to the truth. While sifting through the clues and evidence of the Setagaya family murder, keep the conversation lively and engaging. No clue is too minor, no detail too insignificant. So, what's your take on this chilling, unresolved case? Was the perpetrator familiar with the family? Or did they randomly select the Miyazawas as their victims? What do you make of the sand from the Nevada desert? And do you believe the killer had connections abroad? Together, we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the darkest chapters in human history. Because here at the Real Crime Diary, each case is personal, every story matters, and every voice has the power to make a difference. Keep thinking, keep questioning, and more importantly, keep sharing. Because this diary isn't just mine, it's ours. And that's what today's call to action is all about. It's about us as a community, united in pursuit of truth and justice. So let's hear it. Your thoughts, your theories, your suggestions. Let's keep the legacy of the Real Crime Diary pages alive and thriving with discussion and discovery. The Setagaya family murders left an indelible mark not only on the hearts of the Japanese people, but also on the very fabric of the nation's legal system. In the wake of the tragedy, a passionate cry rose from the public, driven by the sheer brutality and mystery of the case, one that would echo through the corridors of power and bring about significant changes to the law. It became a catalyst for abolishing the statute of limitations on murder. Since 2010, the specter of the Setagaya murders has meant that heinous crimes of similar gravity will forever remain open, a relentless quest for justice that will not be subdued by the passing of time. The echoes of this case reverberated not only through the legal community, but also within the bustling world of media. The Miyazawa family's unthinkable fate captured the national attention, with every possible angle scrutinized by journalists, crime experts, and the public alike. It spurred countless discussions and debates, with media outlets frequently broadcasting theories and updates, hoping to shed light on the elusive truth of that night's horrendous events. There were times, however, when this media spotlight would bring discomfort and dismay. Take, for instance, Yasuko's sister, Irie, who found herself at the center of a controversy when she claimed that a TV Asahi documentary aired in 2014 misrepresented facts and possibly her own testimony. On such shaky ground, the intersection of media representation and human sensitivity reveals the balance we must maintain when narrating these real-life horror stories. Yet the determination to find answers and seek justice for the Miyazawas persists tirelessly. Over 246,044 investigators have been involved in the case, gathering a staggering 12,545 pieces of evidence. And this is no small point to note. Every scrap of evidence secured tells a haunting story, a whisper of a clue, painstakingly preserved with the hope that someday they might lead to the killer's capture. Highly symbolic is the annual TMPD pilgrimage to the now infamous house, an act that is almost religious in its observance. This morning rite, while a grim reminder of the 4 lives lost, serves also as a steeling resolve whispered among officers. A silent oath that as long as the case remains cold, their commitment will continue to burn hot. But what of the place where it all happened? The quietly standing structure that many feel still holds the impressions of the family long gone. There's an eerie sense of consciousness in what is to be told of the house, a stark image of deterioration, paralleled only by the slow, frustrating pace of the pursuit of justice. And yet, amidst talks of its eventual teardown, one feels the weight of a physical anchor to the reality of the events, a relentless gravity that has held investigators, family, and supporters bound to the place where the inexplicable occurred. As this section of our tale draws to a close, we're left to meditate upon the heavy legacy of these murders, the sharp pang of the bereft, a society's legal awakening, the responsibility of the media's portrayal of unsolved tragedies, and the lingering shadow cast upon a house that once knew laughter but became the stage for an unspeakable crime. And with that comes the inevitable question: How do we honor the memory of the victims while still seeking out the truth within the echoes of the past? Silent walls that witnessed unspeakable tragedy, floors that bore the weight of a heinous crime. The Miyazawa house stands as a solemn reminder of the night that shook a nation. Homes are meant to be sanctuaries, yet for the Miyazawa family, theirs became a crime scene, etching its address into the annals of Japan's most disturbing unsolved mysteries. As the chaos of the investigation swirled, protection and preservation of evidence within the home was paramount. Every fingerprint, every drop of blood held potential answers. And there, within the walls of the Miyazawa household, investigators found themselves not merely in a structure of brick and wood, but in an archive of horror. A subtle imprint on a pillow, a handkerchief left behind. These are the fragments from which justice could be stitched together. From this morbid treasure trove, we glean the foresight of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department in their meticulous preservation of the house's interior. Each piece of evidence, though silent, spoke. No detail was too small, from the computer's internet history, betraying the killer's continued presence only hours after the murders, to the undigested food in the killer's abandoned feces, providing a timeline of his last meal. All were handled with the care befitting pieces of a puzzle that, once solved, could restore peace to the souls that once resided there. The TMPD's painstaking efforts yielded rooms frozen in time, a realism that only tragedy can undraw. A home is a time capsule, preserving the anguish of the past but potentially incubating hope for a resolution. Yet the toll on the investigators was heavy. Imagine the annual pilgrimage they made, a solemn ritual to honor the victims, their feet retracing steps coated in grief. As the years passed, wear and change are constants. The Miyazawa house, too, was not immune to the passage of time. Beyond the emotional toll, physical decay set in. The unsettling decision to demolish the house arose, a necessary act to prevent further deterioration and potential collapse. Yet to demolish is to inscribe one final, irreversible chapter to the house's story. The echo of footsteps, the shadows cast by family laughter, the dark stain of the crime, all soon to be dust. Such was the difficulty that even amid pragmatic decisions, the victim's family and supporters launched appeals, a testament to the home's pivotal role in their lives and the collective yearning for justice. While razing the house might erase it from sight, it does nothing to quiet the memories it harbors. A family destroyed, a killer elusive. These remnants are carved deeper than the foundations of any building, and though the structure may crumble, the story endures, as does the drive to unravel the knots of this case. As the Miyazawa house fades from the physical landscape, it persists as an indelible monument in the minds of all who seek answers. It's a tale of heartbreak and horror, yes, but also of unyielding search for closure. May the day come when the case no longer requires the house to remember, when the truth sets both spirits and seekers free. As the shadows of unresolved cases loom over us, it is here, at the end of our deep dive into the unsettling enigma of the Setagaya family murders, that I turn to you, loyal listeners of The Real Crime Diary. This case, shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions, has proven that sometimes reality is more harrowing than fiction. Let's band together in our shared passion for truth and justice. By subscribing, you make sure you're always in the loop for each new episode we unravel. When you like and comment, you contribute your own insights to the case, potentially shedding new light on dark corners left unexplored. And sharing? That's how you bring more minds to the table. More eyes to the evidence, challenging us to look at the evidence from angles we haven't considered. Every click, every conversation, every share builds stronger the community we've fostered here. Together, we're not just passive listeners, we're active seekers of justice. So, raise your voice, engage your curiosity, and amplify our collective call to action. We might not have all the answers now, but with your support, we inch closer to the truth with every passing moment. Thank you for your unwavering support and for being a vital part of The Real Crime Diary. Until next time, keep the discussion alive and may our combined efforts shed light on the darkest of mysteries.